Tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
JP here with Talk Football and the Sports Drive. At ESPN Pensacola, we're hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion and NFL Hall of Famer Derek Brooks.
The Super Bowl, and they're trying to win it for us. Third down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon, throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 30. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25, 20. Derek Brooks all the way.
This is former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, Washington High School alum, Derek Brooks. You listen to ESPN Pensacola.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. Like the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, Roy Jones Jr.
Three-time light heavyweight world champion and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr.
What up? It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
What do I cherish? Precious moments watching Dad read to my little Eric. That's why I'm so grateful I insisted on an eye exam when I noticed him struggling with the words on the page. We found out Dad has age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. Luckily, the doctor caught it in time for treatment, so Dad can still read. Protect yourself and your loved ones. Call the Foundation Fighting Blindness today at 1-800-254-6552 for a free packet on preventing and managing AMD. That's 1-800-254-6552.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gullick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach K. Stevenson. On this Friday afternoon, weekend's right around the corner. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and of course, well, washing your hands and social distancing. I think you guys know it by now, so we don't have to harp on that too much. Look, with everything going on right now, like I said, I hope everybody is being safe. And look, we always start off our show this way, especially lately, and we'll continue to do so. I want to thank our first responders and healthcare workers. Look, it goes without saying, everything with going on right now with COVID-19, I don't need to explain it. Unless you've been hidden under a rock, then you understand what's going on. And these folks have been out there day in and day out protecting us, trying to get us back to normal, healing us, whatever it may be. We thank those folks so much. I think it goes without saying, but we're going to say it because, you know what, a thanks goes a long way, especially nowadays. And if you see those folks out there, just let them know you care, you appreciate them. Don't shake their hands or anything. I think we know that. But, you know, with all the unrest we have in our country, for multiple reasons, for all kinds of things going on, look, we just want to make sure we make it clear here. We have great police officers, great firefighters, EMT, nurses, doctors, all the first responders and healthcare workers out there. We are so blessed to live in a community where we have so many great people, so many great hospitals, all these folks. We thank them a ton. And with some people that may naysay to that, don't let a few bad eggs ruin the entire bunch. Just throwing that out there. I think it goes without saying, but like I said, we're going to go ahead and say it. Look, one more thing, grocery store employees, truck drivers, all the essential workers, maybe you didn't realize you were essential until this happened, but now you do, and now you realize how important you are, and we know how important you are as well. With those folks at the grocery stores, look, if there's arrows pointing down an aisle, just take a little bit more time. I've made the mistake of going down the wrong aisle, getting the look as well, but look, wear your mask in there, protect these people as long as you can. Wear the mask. I'm not trying to force anybody to do anything, but what I am saying is little things like that will make a big difference. But thank those folks as well when you go out there. If you're getting groceries for this weekend or whatever it may be, thank them a lot. And truck drivers, the silent heroes, I call them. I know a couple listen to the show every day. It was great to meet them as well. But we thank them so much as well because they the things they deliver, we forget about them. They're part of the big reason we can get what we can get when we go to the grocery stores and other things like that. Just so gracious for them. And, Coach, look, I know we have some great sponsors as well. I know we'll get to them in just a second. But how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. I second your gratitude there that you point out every show. Thanks to those people that have done so much for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I go back to the sponsors, Coach, you know, we couldn't do this without them. They've had a tough time through the pandemic as well, but you know what? They are such a tremendous part of our community. They do such a great job out in the community as well. We are just so gracious to have them on board with us. And look, they're the reason we can bring you Talk Football right here. And I tell you what, talking football is a great exception to be able to get away from everything that's going on in our world right now. That's why we're hoping for football, and we're going to stay positive on this show, as positive as we can. So, Coach, I want to jump into this. This is not positive by any means, but we have to report it, of course. We talked a little bit about the Washington Redskins. Now, they're not going to be the Redskins here soon. They've already dropped the name, so I'll just call them Washington. But Washington going through some turmoil right now, to say the very least. We heard there was going to be a report coming out yesterday at some point by the Washington Post releasing some scary information, and it was. And this is what we believe may be the tip of the iceberg for part of this. 15 women who previously worked for Washington's NFL organization have alleged sexual harassment and verbal abuse by former scouts and members of owner Daniel Schneider's inner circle, the Washington Post reported. Look, this is obviously, there's a lot more to this. It's being investigated right now. There's a lot going on. So as this is changing every few hours, it seems, is the more they find out here. But, of course, Daniel Schneider released a statement on this morning. They said the behavior described in yesterday's Washington Post article has no place in our franchise or society. So the story has strengthened my commitment to setting a new culture and standard for our team, a process that began with the hiring of Coach Rivera earlier this year. Beth Wilkinson and her firm are empowered to do a full, unbiased investigation and make any and all requisite recommendations. Upon completion of her work, we will institute new policies and procedures and strengthen our human resources infrastructure to not only avoid these issues in the future, but most importantly, create a team culture that is respectful and inclusive of all. Coach, look, we know Daniel Schneider has been under scrutiny for multiple other things as well, but I find it very tough to believe he did not know what was going on. I think, to me, this is more owner speak of something he had to say, because people were like, why have we not heard from Daniel Schneider? Coach, I mean, what do we make of this situation right now? Is this only the beginning, possibly, for the Washington Redskins?
Well, I've talked to 2 or 3 different people about this. In fact, we more or less broke it on our show yesterday that this was coming. We couldn't get into a lot of detail, obviously, and still can't. There's more to come. From what I hear, and I'm certain that it's going to be brought out. They've gotten this far, and they'll go the rest of the way. So I really believe there's going to be more to come. Is it surprising? No, not surprising at all. I think Snyder's been a one-off type owner ever since he came into the league. A tremendous amount of ego and narcissism involved with Daniel Snyder, in my opinion. And this does not surprise me at all. And did he know about what was going on? I certainly suspect that he did. I can't imagine that he did not, because this involves a lot of people, and it involves the big-time sweet owners, and which goes back to the cheerleading episode they had a number of years ago down in Puerto Rico, or well, not Puerto Rico, but one of the Central American countries. Anyway, that along with what's happening here, the number of people that are involved, there's almost no way, JP, that he would not have known about it.
Yeah, I agree, and like we said, it's part of his inner circle there, so there's got to probably be some kind of knowledge. But regardless, it comes down to this: when something happens with a team, whether it's another coach or whatever it may be, a lot of times it comes back to the head coach of why didn't you know? You're the one in charge, so when you look at Daniel Schneider, it's going to be hard for him to try to naysay this and get out of this. Well, it's going to be, look, like I said, this is ever-changing. As we figure out more, we will let you know. But, Coach, I want to bring up Ron Rivera because in all this, Ron Rivera has seen a few things. Now, remember, Ron Rivera was the coach of the Carolina Panthers when the scandal broke, when the original owner, Jerry Richardson, had to sell the team. When it was reported at least 4 former Panthers employees received significant monetary settlements due to inappropriate workplace comments and conduct by the owner there, including sexually suggestive language and behavior on one occasion. And Coach, look, Ron Rivera, I think personally, I mean, he has bad luck when you look at the situation here, but I think he is, if there's a coach to lead a team right now when they need the football side of things, the team itself, to go in the right direction, I think Ron Rivera is the guy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And in addition to having, unfortunately, been through something similar to this before, he's a very level-headed, stable guy. Good football guy, but in addition to that, he's down there. He doesn't, there are no pretenses or anything that you wouldn't see with the naked eye. I mean, he's just a good guy. So feet on the ground, he can step up and take these questions on. He's gonna be very transparent, look him in the eye, and tell him exactly what he thinks. And people know that, and they believe him. So he is the guy to step out right now, and they couldn't have. I don't know where they would go get anybody else in the administration or whatever that could do a better job, a more believable job than him.
Yeah, I agree. I think, look, I have the utmost respect for Ron Rivera. I think he's a great coach. I said before when he got hired, I think he's going to do a good job. It's going to take a lot of work to turn that program around just on the football side of things, and it seems they got their work cut out for them off the field as well. So, Coach, I want to jump into some college stuff here. Look, of course, Mark Emmert, we wonder where he's been this entire time during the pandemic. He's kind of went in hiding. We'll get to Paul Feinbaum's comments earlier, but and Mac Brown as well. But Mark Emmert came out and made a statement. When we made the extremely difficult decision to cancel last spring's championships, it was because there was simply no way to conduct them safely. This document lays out the advice of healthcare professionals as to how to resume college sports if we can achieve an environment where COVID-19 rates are manageable. Today, sadly, the data points in the wrong direction. If there is to be college sports in the fall, we need to get a much better handle on the pandemic. And to get some of the return to sport guidelines here, the NCAA basically laid out within 72 hours you have to test, and your players have to test negative, obviously, before they can play. These are things that are obvious. A lot of these conferences obviously have already went and made their own things here. I think, Coach, when I look at this is a little late, obviously, but I look at Mark Emmert and kind of scratch my head of where have you been this entire time? When, look, the commissioners have been working, obviously, diligently, and some of them have already made decisions to play conference only, talking about the Big Ten and the Pac-12. And, look, Mac Brown, the coach of North Carolina, the Tar Heels there in the ACC, a very well-respected coach. We all remember him back with Texas. But he was on the Feinbaum show, Coach, and well, basically, I'll play the clip to give you a better idea. But this is Feinbaum talking about the comments that Mark Emmert made.
Paul, you had Mac on your show. So for you, what do his comments say to you about Mark Emmert?
They say that Mark Emmert is a complete failure at leadership. First of all, it was nice of Mark Emmert to come out of the Witness Protection Program yesterday to let us know what we should all know about the college football season. He is the president of the NCAA. He makes $3.5 million a year, and him telling us there's a problem is like a meteorologist telling us during a hurricane that it's raining outside. He has had a complete he is a complete abject failure at leadership. He's been derelict in his duty. And quite frankly, I think he should be fired. We might wait till this storm passes to get rid of him, but he has no use whatsoever except taking up airwaves with idiotic, inane, and unimportant statements. So Ryan, bottom line is that Mack Brown is saying what a lot of people are saying. College football needs leadership. They have 5 conference commissioners, but no one is in charge.
And, Coach, when we hear that right there, now Mack Brown's comments, I apologize, I should have prefaced this a little bit better, but Mack Brown goes on to say, we need a college football commissioner. He said if we had a college football commissioner, we could all be on the same page for the most part, obviously, in understanding what we need to do, where we're at, and all being able to communicate back and forth, like I said. Because all these conferences have kind of done their own thing at this point. Now, they stay in communication with each other. I'm not saying that. But, Coach, when you hear that, Mark Emmert, like I said, he has been highly criticized for a lot of things here. And I know people like that. Look, Roger Goodell takes a lot of criticism for a lot of things. But I think, Roger Goodell has done a fairly good job in the situations that he's been put in sometimes. Sometimes. I'm not going to agree with everything he does. But with Mark Emmert here, Coach, once again, we are here July 17th. He made a comment yesterday, July 16th, basically coming out of the woodworks. Like Paul Feinbaum said, where have you been in your witness protection? Wondering what's going on here. And I'm not ever going to advocate unless it's something outrageous, somebody's done, did something personally to somebody else or whatever it may be, to fire somebody. I'm not getting into that. But, Coach, what do you make of Mack Brown saying that we need a college football commissioner? Do you believe that that is the right direction that we need to go in, especially because of the shambles that the NCAA is in right now?
I think we said that on this show either yesterday or the day before, that we need, from top down, a commissioner, if you will, I'll call him that. It's fine, but a General Motors type situation where you can control things done in the right way with the appropriate advice from people that know what they're doing, and then that passes down. There are a number of people involved in any decision that's going to be made on college football. And I can assure you, Stanky, for example, is not going to make the final decision for all SEC teams. It's going to be a combination of presidents, coaches, athletic directors, financial people, accountants, the people responsible for the financial end of business. And all those, they're going to get together and make the decision. And Stanky will have a voice in it, but he's not going to be the guy. Now you multiply that by all the colleges out there, and just take the 5 big ones and the commissioners. There's really no true leadership from the top down. And I agree with Mack Brown. I think that needs to be the case. And Paul Feinbaum, I need to talk to him. He needs to let us know how he really feels about somebody.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. Yeah, Feinbaum, look, he's been short-fused on a lot of the stuff. It's taken a toll on a lot of people. It's taken a toll on sports writers, commentators, obviously radio people as well. We talked to Tom Pelissero yesterday, and Tom Pelissero, the people like that, they have had their work cut out for them. And usually we're talking about, just getting ready to play football, maybe a contract situation with Dak Prescott, but that's an underlying factor with everything going on right now. So guys in that line of work, it's tough to say the very least. But I agree, Coach. Look, I think my question though, Coach, when you look at this, because we're talking about the possibility of the Power 5 conferences, maybe probably sooner rather than later, from what we've heard, kind of going and doing their own thing here. If we had an NCAA football commissioner, college football commissioner in this, do you believe that we may not be at that point right now, that would make a tremendous difference to be able to keep these guys all in one collective unit?
Well, it's hard to say, what that would look like entirely. I think it would be a composite of some very, very capable people who would come up with a list of options and a recommended way to go. That would go to the so-called commissioner. And then I think he would, at that point, consult with a group or at least a representation from each conference or each school, and they would then go by his ruling that they should do whatever, play, don't play, play with fans, no fans, all the things that have to be done, and also how to handle the how to handle the well-being of the players and coaches and anybody involved in it. And I think that would be the way it would happen if this idealistic top-down management type situation would be available to colleges. And Mark Emmett, I agree to a certain extent with Paul. I agree with you. I wouldn't call for somebody's firing, but Mark Emmett has been, and what he says really doesn't mean anything, because the Power 5 conferences are, for all intents and purposes, they're not in the NCAA as you might look at the NCAA right now. They're going to do their thing, so it really doesn't matter what Mark Emmett says.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Mark Emmert at this point is a non-factor, is what that's the best way to call him. And once again, it's make that very clear. We'll never call for anybody's job unless it's something very serious, and I think we wouldn't have to be the ones to do that anyway, regardless. But Coach, look, it's going to be interesting to say the very least. We say this every single day about college football and the NFL as well. And remember, for college football, the NFL, it's going to be a lot easier to get this thing done. For college football, you're talking about just from the travel alone, it's going to be a nightmare. But they're working day in and day out. And this thing, like everybody we've had come on the show has talked about this, it changes hour by hour. It's not just, we had Coach Pete Shinnick of our national champion UWF Argos on. We've had him on multiple times. And every time it's the same as, look, you just check the news at this hour, then you turn around and flip the news on a few hours later, and then you flip the news on a few hours later, and that's what this is. Anybody that's, of course, been watching the news and keeping up with the pandemic and everything, you get it, because that's basically how things are with COVID-19. And we're hoping for the best. Like I said, we're going to stay positive on all this, and we're getting some really good positive signs moving forward, even though in some areas they're becoming more and more hotspots. But nonetheless, we got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some college football news. We're going to talk a little bit about some key storylines from some of the big name college football teams, as well as the Chiefs and Texans are instructing their rookies to show up Monday. We'll tell you why they may not be able to. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
There's only one natural ingredient that could instantly shift your mood, help you focus, lower stress, and boost your self-confidence. It's available everywhere, works immediately, is affordable, and can change the quality of your life forever. It's called playing music.
Side effects include restless split syndrome, spontaneous undulation, and can be highly contagious. If a smile doesn't last for more than 4 hours, consult your nearest music store.
Just play. Your prescription to a better life. Brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
For your ridiculous facts, I'm JP. Archer Matt Stutzman holds the world record for the longest shot with a bow and arrow under Olympic conditions. He hit his mark at a distance of 930 feet. What makes this so special is the fact that due to a disability, Matt Stutzman has no arms and therefore uses the bow with his feet. Now that's pretty awesome. And professional U.S. swimmer Michael Phelps has won more gold medals than 80% of all countries in the history of the Olympic Games. That's your ridiculous facts. I'm JP.
I'm Troy Rafferty, and many of you know about my love for sports and my longtime support for our local high school athletes. One thing these fine young people have taught me over the years is this: whether it's on the ball field, in the classroom, or in a court of law, always work your hardest and achieve the best results possible. And that is the commitment we make to our clients and our community.
Levin Papantonio in Pensacola since 1955.
See, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Dan gets so mad that there isn't one dissenting voice.
It's not even that much of a risk, Mike. It's a 6.5.
does that all the time. He doesn't get any credit for it.
No, but no one with credibility dares risk it because they all just want to put stars up next to their name and pick the most obvious possible thing.
Thanks, Dan. The Dan Le Batard Show with Stu Gotts, 9 till noon, weekdays on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Appreciate you joining us today. Hope you're doing well, staying safe. It's like it's quite a beautiful day outside. Got some good AC going on in here. It's quite hot. But nonetheless, look, we're talking some football with you. Look, we're going to bring up some NFL news, Coach. I know, look, things are starting to ramp up. Like I said, we're getting some positive signs because, look, some teams, obviously, the majority of the NFL, the training camps are supposed to start July 28th, which is right around the corner. It's almost August. That's crazy how this year has gone by. But nonetheless, Coach, when we look at this, we know that some teams obviously are having rookies report come Monday. And a couple of those teams that have told their guys to go ahead and report are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans. Now, there's no problem with this except for the fact that, well, the NFL and the NFLPA have not come to an agreement on testing and other health and safety protocols. So this obviously could be a big deal as players, with that being required to report, or they could face discipline, which, if that's the case, they could set the stage for a potential grievance. Not saying it is, but saying for some teams, who knows what's going to happen right now. And, of course, our very own Tom Pelissero had him on the show yesterday. He was reporting that. So Tom Pelissero says the clock is now ticking. The NFL and the NFLPA got to get it figured out, or we could have a big problem come Monday. Coach, I know you've got some pretty good sources, obviously, outside of the general things we read here. Have you heard anything about the possibility of the NFL and the Players Association getting this figured out this weekend so these guys can report without any problem?
No, not this weekend. I don't suspect that it would be. I may be, surprised, but I doubt it. I think what's going to happen, and I will repeat myself, I think they're going to end up negotiating a deal where the players and the owners have to be in some type of agreement on this. They've got to get to the big money. And the big money is in regular season television and regular season games. The preseason games, while they're considered a necessity in some ways, in many ways, and they are, but this year is not the normal year. I think that they will agree to have no preseason games, which is what the players want. The owners want it too, simply because it eliminates a risk factor in getting to that regular season television money, okay? So they eliminate the preseason games, and then they're not going to give these guys 8 weeks in camp. I just don't see that. Do not see that happening. I think they'll cut that down considerably, maybe even to 4 or 5 weeks. Period, just maybe 4 weeks, and they say, look, here's the deal. You got 4 weeks to get ready. Get what you got to get done in that time frame. You can have 2 scrimmages and go play. Period. And end of the discussion. No doubt about it. I could see that happening. So, given that, there's not going to be a decision this weekend to let rookies come in because that would be opening the door to an 8-week camp with at least one preseason game. I will see what happens. They agree to that, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Coach. I think right now everybody's erring on the side of caution, and the least amount that you have to do is what you're going to do. And listen, we had a caller yesterday on the Sports Drive that is a former small college coach and high school coach, and talking about how much time it truly takes. And he was he used to play at Appalachian State, and he said we reported August 1st, and we played the last week of August, and and he understands things have changed somewhat. But it's possible, and that's what you've said from the entire time, Coach, and I think that's a good point here. It's going to be interesting to see what the decisions are made, and remember, for the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 on the college football side of things, they're going to make that decision in July of what they're going to do, but we'll see. Once again, as this virus changes, that's why I think it's good to take your time, be patient on making decisions here, because this thing can flip on a dime, and we know that, good or bad, but Coach, I do want to talk about here for some people talking about some conference stuff. Everybody's wondering what the ACC, what was going on in the meetings and things like that. I know we had Pat Dooley come on, and have some insight for us, but it wasn't, like he said, it wasn't a ton. It wasn't the big bombshell. This is a scheduled meeting that was scheduled back in March. So this is just a generic meeting for them. They're going to meet in late July. They announced that to kind of make a further decision on the college football season. But some things that were discussed, just for people to understand what was discussed at that athletic director meeting, was, of course, fall options. Plenty of fall options, including an 8-game conference-only schedule or a 9 or 10-game plan that will preserve at least one scheduled matchup with a Power 5 conference. We know, of course, Alabama, USC is done now. Texas A&M and Colorado, with the Pac-12 saying they're going to play conference only. So now those games are canceled. But the SEC still has 13 Power 5 games currently scheduled with opponents from the ACC and Big 12, along with Independence, BYU, and Notre Dame. Those games obviously could be potentially kept by the 9 or 10 game model. Coach, when you look at this, we're even hearing that Florida and Florida State are trying to keep that game, which makes sense because there's not a whole lot of travel in that game too. It's going to be interesting because I said this before with the Big Ten. This was brought up to me by a friend of ours, but look, the Big Ten saying that we're going to play conference only. So with Rutgers, they can't play Temple, who is 45 minutes down the road, but they're going to travel all the way to go play Nebraska. So I understand that the concept of playing conference only, but there are some blips in the radar there, and we could, if it's truly about travel and things like that, could make it a little easier. But nonetheless, I know that's above my pay grade. I'm going to leave it to that and just say that. But, Coach, when you look at this, do you believe, because there's a lot of confidence being brought up here that the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC are going to kind of keep that grip and be able to have some big Power 5 games and kind of create their own, I guess, unity. Do you see that amongst those teams to be able to get a couple more games in that these 3 conferences may just kind of mix and match?
I do. There's some real possibilities. We talked about quite a while back that Alabama, looking at the possibility of Southern Cal not being able to play because of political reasons, had talked to TCU. Also, TCU was going to be shut out of a game with California out in Berkeley that same weekend, so they looked at opening up. I guess that still could be a possibility. There are other interconference games that would pit big school against big school. I think that's probably what you're going to see. I really think it's going to be difficult, JP, for small and medium-sized schools to play, especially when they're waiting so long here to make it happen. It's putting an additional handicap on them, so it's going to be tough. But I do see the possibility of conferences going to interconference play, with the exception maybe of 2 games outside the conference and or whatever. But they'll get it worked out because, as I said, I think the big boys are going to play and the National Football League is going to play.
Yeah, I agree. I think just from what I've read so far, now things like we said can change on a dime. We understand that. But I believe that they're going to kind of create some unity here to be able to have some big-time college football games. And remember, every game they lose, there's quite a bit of money. Now, this is the group of 5 teams, not as much, and you're talking about TV deals and things like this, but especially if we cannot have fans or limited fans, whatever it is, it's going to be any dime they can make, they're going to try to make up for these colleges. We know that. So with that being said, I'm a big-time believer, and this is going to happen, obviously, with college football season. But, look, I'm all for it, too, because if I can get Power 5 versus Power 5, I would much rather see that than Power 5 versus FCS like we get sometimes, Coach. I know we've talked about that before, with the ruling that they made yesterday, that 2 FCS opponents can count toward getting you bowl eligible for college football this year, which is a shame. But it is what it is, I guess, at this point. Coach, look, we're going to go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some key storylines for some big-time teams. Of course, a lot of our local teams, including Florida State, Alabama, LSU, and more. All that coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck, Bentley. That was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
For 30 years, Thomas Home Corporation has proudly helped families build their ultimate dream home. If you're looking to customize your home, we are currently building throughout Escambia, Santa Rosa, and Okaloosa counties, and we can either build to your home in one of our subdivisions or even on your own lot. Our team works with you to guide you through each step and decision in the process. Builder of the 2019 American Dream Home and Builder of the Year, Thomas Homes Corporation has built quality homes at an affordable price since 1990. Begin the process today and become one of our proud homeowners at thomashomescorp.com.
There's only one natural ingredient that could instantly shift your mood, help you focus, lower stress, and boost your self-confidence. It's available everywhere, works immediately, is affordable, and can change the quality of your life forever. It's called playing music.
Side effects include restless split syndrome, spontaneous undulation, and can be highly contagious. If a smile doesn't last for more than 4 hours, consult your nearest music store.
Just play. Your prescription to a better life. Brought to you by the NAM Foundation.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hey, this is Chad Brillante from the Afternoon Sports Drive, and you're listening to Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. On this Friday afternoon, hope you're doing well. Talking some football with you as always. And then jump right back into this, Coach. Talking about, of course, some college football stuff. We know college football is king around here. We'll get back into some NFL here pretty soon. But some interesting takes for some of these teams, especially our local teams around here that everybody loves. You know, your Alabamas, your FSUs, LSU, things like Florida's, obviously. And then we'll even throw in maybe an Ohio State for Jeremy downstairs. Big Ohio State fan. Coach, I do want to mention this, by the way. This just came in a couple minutes ago. We're Alabama. Now, remember, this is a team that a couple months ago was actually, I believe, 41st in 2021 recruiting rankings, which we do. They were close to the likes of University of Texas, San Antonio, and teams like that at that point. That gives you an idea. But once again, they were in the top 10 just yesterday. Now they have moved to number 6. And why have they moved to number 6 overall in 2021 rankings so far? Well, they got the brothers Brockermeyer. Yes, the brothers Brockermeyer. Let me make that clear. Tommy, of course, Brockermeyer is a 5-star offensive tackle. James Brockermeyer is a 4-star center. The brothers have now committed to the University of Alabama. A tremendous pickup for those guys, and it's going to be pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get to see those guys play together, one at center and one at tackle over there. But when we talk about Alabama, Coach, I think that's par for the course. We knew that Alabama, especially the recruiting that they've done, well, as long as Saban's been there, that they weren't going to be outside the top 10 for too long.
No, there's no question about that. In fact, they could very easily end up having the best class. No doubt about that. I've heard about these Brockermeyer twins, and word gets around when somebody is really outstanding, and everything I've heard is exactly that. So Alabama got a pair of probably a pair of starters there that are going to be. Going to be there for quite a while. Brothers, that's a big get for Alabama, no doubt about it.
Yeah, going to be good, big time for them, especially in the upcoming years. Obviously, that's 2021 right there, recruiting class for them. Coach, I want to go ahead and stick with Alabama here. Now, we talk about Alabama. Obviously, the college football playoff, they've pretty much been a part of it except last year. And we know that Tua going down right there, the injuries they had on defense with Dylan Moses and those guys, it was just a tremendous, tumultuous year, and yet they still win 10 ball games. I mean, this is a team that was really, in my opinion, I believe that they should have made the top 4, but I understand Oklahoma getting in. It was right time, right place. Oklahoma, getting in there, and it didn't matter. But, LSU, what they did in the SEC last year was fantastic. But this Alabama team is still so talented. And looking at Mac Jones coming in, people are wondering, is it going to be Mac Jones or Bryce Young? Paul Tyson, of course, Bear Bryant's grandson is there too. People forget about him. But a lot of people are breaking it down to basically Mac Jones or Bryce Young. And Bryce Young, the 5-star player right there, the big-time number 1 quarterback coming out of California, a good-looking quarterback to say the very least. But when you look at Mac Jones last year, Coach, I think that's the question mark. We know the defense is going to be good. They had a ton of guys coming back. Dylan Moses and these guys could have declared for the draft, but they decided to come back. All those guys that played last year for them are back again. Look, this is going to be Pete Golding in that defensive coordinator position may be up for grabs. We'll see what happens. But this is going to be a really good team in Alabama. We've talked about it. It's going to be the same old Alabama again. We know Georgia's going to be good. We think Florida, this may be their year to upend Georgia. And then we look at LSU, and they have so much they have to replace, replacing 16 players from last year going to the NFL draft. And there's some other teams, of course, when you talk about the Auburns and the Texas A&Ms, the outliers there. But, Coach, when I look at for Alabama, it's obvious I believe they're the favorite there in the SEC. But when you look at this quarterback battle, Coach, once again, I'm reading a ton about Bryce Young. I'm reading a ton about Mac Jones. And people go, Mac Jones did a nice job taking over, but Bryce Young's the guy. Saban went out and he got his guy, the 5-star quarterback. Coach, I don't believe that because that's not the style. Saban is always a guy that he's going to put the best player out there that fits his system. And, Coach, when you look at Mac Jones, I mean, how good truly is Mac Jones seeing that small sample size we had last year?
I've said this continually. I like Mac Jones. I like him quite a bit. In fact, I think he'll be the quarterback. They'll use the other kid in some situations. They'll use him, and he'll play some just to get his feet wet. And they can say that he came there and played. But Mike Jones, I think, is going to be their quarterback, and he'll do a heck of a job. He did a heck of a job when he stepped in last year. It'll be an even better job, I think, this year. And I think Alabama's in great shape in their quarterback room. And I still hear now, listen, I still hear that the young man that Paul Bear Bryant's grandson is a heck of a prospect, that he would be starting most other schools right now, no doubt about it. So they're in good shape there.
Coach, I'm going to jump over to, of course, your former team here, the Florida Gators. Now, we've talked about the Florida Gators all the time. We're extremely excited. I'm very excited for the Gators this year to see what's going to happen with Kyle Trask. I finally believe they have a quarterback that they haven't had in quite some time, and a guy that fits Dan Mullen's offense. We know how Dan Mullen, he's a sort of a quarterback whisperer per se, and he's done a great job. Look, the offensive line has gotten better from the 4-win team that was there before Dan Mullen got there. I think he's done a tremendous job with those guys, and Todd Grantham, all those guys have done such a good job with the entire program. Coach, when we look at this, look, this is a unit that allowed 25 sacks in 2019. It's not terrible. It's getting a lot better for them. They're doing better. They have 3 starters returning on the offensive line. They have some other guys they got plenty of playing experience last year as well. But like I said, Kyle Trask and those guys getting ramped back up. We knew, of course, guys like Jacob Copeland finally getting their start to be in the spotlight at the wide receiver position for the Gators. The Gators have gotten Justin Shorter from Penn State. They already have a ton of wide receivers there, along with the big tight end Kyle Pitts, who, once again, if you have a good tight end, you tend to see teams have a lot of success on offense. They have so much depth at the running back position. We know the defense is going to be good, as it always is good enough there. Coach, I mean, we've talked about the Gators, like I said, but, I mean, is this is the year? I mean, to take down Georgia, I mean, what is the difference? When you look at this Gators team from even a couple years ago, I mean, what kind of job has Dan Mullen done here to get these guys in this position?
Well, let's give a number of things. First, you have to think Mullen and the job he's done, outstanding job, really outstanding job. They now have an outstanding array of talent, and they've also accumulated depth, quality depth. They have a quarterback. I really like this Trask kid. I think he's I would rate the top 2 quarterbacks right now in the SEC as Trask number 1 and Jones at Alabama number 2. But they have that. They have momentum coming in from last year. They have continuity, a system in place, the quarterback that's making it click, steady, down-to-earth guy who's really playing well, and not that peaks and valley type situation they had before. They've got a good football coach who not only has he done a good job, but he will continue to put him in the best situations, I think, because I'm certain that he does an outstanding job of game planning and preparing in a way that gives the Gators, the players, a better chance to succeed on any Saturday. So put all that together, and you've got a very, very strong situation. I think they recapture the Eastern Division of the SEC this year. Not that Georgia is a bad football team; they're an outstanding football team. But you can't lose 4 out of 5 of the offensive linemen, and the quarterback, who did an outstanding job from a production standpoint over a 3-year period, and you lose all that in one fell swoop. And you still may have some deficiencies in the receiver department and expect to go out and win. Now, they're going to be tough. They've got a good defense. They're going to have talent, and they know how to win, all that, good coaches. They're going to be tough to beat. But I just think let's maybe the year Florida gets it back.
Yeah, I am with you, Coach, and a couple names to look at it with the wide receiver position here. Trayvon Grimes, Kadarius Toney, and Jacob Copeland. Of course, Jacob Copeland, we remember him right here in our own backyard playing at Escambia High School, how good he is. Those are your 3 guys. Keep a lookout. That is a tremendous receiving core right there. And then you add Kyle Pitts at tight end. Like I said, Kyle Trask, we know what he can do. We know he's the guy now. This is going to be a dangerous offense, an offense like we haven't seen in a while. Remember, the Georgia games are always close. The defense always is gritty, and it's a close one-touchdown type game. This is maybe the year for Florida Gators, and Coach, I know we definitely think so. I want to talk about, Coach, look, the LSU Tigers. Look, we've talked about LSU. We've talked about losing 16 players here, and I'm hearing a lot of people talk about this LSU team. This is and I'm, of course, we'll see what happens with the schedules and everything. But right now, with the schedule they have, like, this team, they'll be lucky to win 9 ball games. Lucky to win 9 ball games. I'm downplaying the team overall. Coach, look, I know we don't know a ton about Miles Brennan at quarterback. We know that, of course, the coaching staff is extremely excited. If you go back and watch some film on him, he's a pretty good quarterback. They still have Terrace Marshall coming back at wide receiver. They still have Jamar Chase, who will probably be a first-round pick. These guys, they got a good offensive line. Like I said, Austin Deculus is coming back at that right tackle position, and I think that's important because that's the only returner they're having on the offensive line. But Deculus is a very, very talented tackle, to say the very least. We know the defense. Look, they've got, once again, this comes down to recruiting. LSU has done a great job, Ed Orgeron, in recruiting these guys. We know Derek Stingley's coming back at the corner position. Like I said, Jacoby Stevens is coming back in the secondary as well. So, Coach, when we look at this LSU team, to hear people downplay them a little bit, I do agree. There is a lot to replace, and they have their work cut out for them. But I think Ed Orgeron has done a fantastic job. I have the utmost respect for him. Bringing in Bo Pelini when Dave Aranda and those guys left. Coach, what is the ceiling for this LSU team this year?
Well, I like you. I think it's always they're always going to be a team to contend with because they have stockpiled so much talent and continue to each and every year. Now, you have to remember, as much as anybody in the country, LSU built walls around their state, meaning that if you're an outstanding football player in the state of Louisiana, you're most likely going to go to LSU. And they also have tremendous contact into East Texas, with Mississippi up into Tennessee, all over. And now they've also got a connection into Florida. So LSU is always going to have good talent. And I give Coach O, I give Orgeron quite a bit of credit. I have consistently. Listen, last year, how many college coaches, if you put everything in perspective, it gives you an idea. How many college coaches would have recognized the talent that they had in the quarterback who had transferred in, going into his senior year, go out and bring in a young assistant, not even a full-time assistant at New Orleans, but part of their offensive staff and was doing a good job, but bring him in as your quasi-offensive coordinator, even though they kept the former quarterback there and titled the offensive coordinator. But they bring him in and give him an awful lot of authority. He puts in the passing game. Drastic departure from LSU offenses. They commit to it. They go do it. They win every ball game, including a national championship, and set all types of records, and maybe do something that, to put it this way, it'll be a long time before we see that record duplicated from last year. Now, my point is, not many, and I would defy anybody to say, Coach X would have done that, or Coach Y would have done that. I don't know who you're talking about. Yeah. He made that was a heck of a decision that he made. He went out and did it and made it happen. So you got to give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah, Joe Brady may be the hire of the decade when you look at it, and the difference that was made there. And to just when you look at that offense, that's where at the beginning of the season people were like, this is not the same LSU team. There's no way. There's something, that they're going to come back down to earth on offense especially, and it never happened. In fact, they won a national championship, and that's where the story ends right there with Joe Burrow being the first overall pick. If you told me the year before, and I'm not going to act like, I saw it coming. By any means, I did not. If you'd have told me Joe Burrow was going to be the first, even go in the first or second round, I would have been like, I don't think I want to be around you anymore. I think you're on something that's a little crazy. But nonetheless, that's the difference that was made, and that team turned it around, and hats off to Ed O, changing everything just about. I mean, that's a big risk you take right there, and he saw it. And Joe, you asked Joe Burrow, you see in the interviews, he saw it, all those guys saw it, and they believed in it, and boy, that's what happened right there. So it was a great story for him, a great story for Ed O. He's got his work cut out for him this year, but nonetheless, bringing in Bo Pelini and guys, it's going to be interesting. LSU is not going to be a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. The only bad thing is, they play in one of the toughest divisions in college football. That being said, we got to go to a quick break, Coach. When we come back, I do want to talk real quick about Florida State, and if we have some time, I'd like to talk about some, second-year quarterbacks in the NFL that may surprise you a little bit this year. All that and more coming back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Hear ye, hear ye. I bringeth thee a message from... a message from the king and his new trumpeter, Stephen. The king wishes me to convey his favor to thine team and thine tailgate. Not yet. He invites thee to let the Bud Light flow forth. And he also wishes me to tell thee that he toasts thee... Waiteth until the end, Stephen! With game day's favorite light lager and the slogan of his kingdom... Oh! Dilly dilly!
Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you, alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Friday afternoon. Appreciate you joining us. Final segment of the show here. Coach, I don't want to forget one of our local favorites around here. I would be remiss if I didn't. I got a text to say, hey, you better talk about them. I've been waiting to hear. The Florida State Seminoles. And now this is an intriguing team. Now, we haven't said that for a few years now, but this is a team now with Mike Norvell at the helm, obviously making some changes that it seems they need to make. Of course, bringing in the offensive coordinator position, Kenny Dillingham, Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator position as well. Coach, this is a talented team, and the talent's been there. That's a part of this. The talent has always been there for Florida State. It's outlying factors when you look at this team. Being undisciplined and things like that. One of the highest penalized teams. One of the worst offensive lines in college football, almost ranked dead last. Coach, when you look at the offense here, we know at the wide receiver position, look, Tamarian Terry, this guy is a superstar, going to be a big-time player in the NFL. Right here in our own backyard, West Florida Tech proud, Keyshawn Helton. Now, he went through some injuries, but this guy is as versatile as it comes. And, watching him in high school, he is a awesome player, to say the very least. And he's going to be slated to be a starter this year, as well as Ontario Wilson. We know these guys are good. We know the offensive line. Now, the offensive line has three starters from last year coming back. That could be a good sign. It could also be a bad sign at the same time, with them being, one of the worst. Nonetheless, Coach, the quarterback position is what we're wondering what's going to happen. We know James Blackman's back. Jordan Travis is back. We know that they've got, of course, guys like Chuba Purdy that are coming back as well. Tate Rodemaker, the kid out of Valdosta, Georgia, the recruit there coming in. They have some good players at that quarterback position to be able to choose from. But, of course, with COVID-19, it's changed a lot of how teams are doing things right now, so we don't have all the answers we thought we may have. But, Coach, when you look at this is a team that's returning 10 starters on that defense. Now, the defense, I mean, I'm not saying they were the greatest, but this is still a good defense, and they're returning guys like Marvin Wilson, the big defensive tackle there who's going to be a first-round pick, and Nasseldine right there at safety. I mean, this is a talented, like I said, squad. Coach, when you look at this, and Coach Norvell, I mean, we've talked about it. Coach Norvell was a great hire for him. But, I mean, once again, this is how coaching at the highest level, coaching the NFL, you played in college, you played in the NFL. How tough is it when the penalties, because I think the penalties are a tremendous part of this team changing the culture here. How tough is it to be able to get guys on the right side of this?
Well, there are hefty different things that have to happen. I mean, it's first and foremost, that program was a debacle. Absolutely had gone to the depths that you can't imagine. He came in, that was a great hire. Norvell came in and salvaged what was a terrible recruiting year. They were 50-something, I think, and projected and went up into the teens. I have to question a little bit when you say they have always had a lot of talent. I think they had a talent drain at Florida State. They had some talented kids, but they also were lacking the overall talent that they have had in years past. Now, they have since, I think, done a heck of a job recruiting. And look at the transfers they've had coming in, JP. So I know we don't have but very little time left. I'm very impressed with what they've done. I think the addition of talent through whatever method and the coaching, I have to say that based on what he has done in the past and certainly what he did at Memphis, I have to think that they're going to be well prepared to play whomever. And Florida State is looking up. I really think they've got a lot to look forward to.
I agree, Coach. I think Florida State is one of those teams that it's not going to happen this year, but they're going to show signs of positivity moving forward. They're going to show signs of progression, and that's what I think the Florida State fans have been waiting on. I think that's what they've been looking for, and look, at this point, they'll take anything they can get. But this is a team that I agree with you. Norvell was the right hire. I think they're moving in the right direction. It's going to be tough, especially with everything going on right now. It makes it even tougher, but this is a team to look out for. But, Coach, that sound means it's time for us to go. We can get to everything as always, but you know what? It's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. We look forward to next week. A lot happening right now.
Absolutely. Coach, you have a great weekend. Stay safe, as well as our listeners out there. Stay safe. Look, throw a mask on. Let's get through this pandemic together. Let's get some football back. And you know what? Talking of football, we'll be back Monday talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
No place in our franchise or society, end quote. Snyder says he's committed to improving the team's culture. Will the team be punished, though? ESPN's Adam Schefter.
It's the NFL's job. It will do what it feels is necessary based off the investigation that Beth Wilkinson launches and what she uncovers. The fact of the matter is, from a basic human decency standpoint, let's get this right.
Adam Schefter on First Take. 15 women who worked for the team say they were sexually harassed or verbally abused. Tennessee defensive lineman Emmett Gooden is kicked off the team after being charged with felony aggravated domestic assault. He's the second Volunteers player dismissed from the team this summer, along with running back Tim Jordan. From baseball, Angels reliever Justin Anderson will have Tommy John surgery next week. He'll miss the season. Second round at the Memorial, Tony Finau and Ryan Palmer tied for the lead. Tiger Woods may miss the cut. He's at 3 over par.
It ain't game day, but you can still feast like it is. Meet Church's new $5 Campfire Smokehouse Chicken, our fan favorite with a new campfire flavor, plus mashed potatoes and a biscuit. Church's, bringing that down-home flavor. Offer valid at participating locations.
It's First Take, your take on this Friday on ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'm Jeff Dickerson, sitting in for Jason Fitz. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. 15 women who previously worked for Washington's NFL organization have alleged sexual harassment and verbal abuse by former scouts and members of Daniel Snyder's inner circle, the Washington Post reported on Thursday. Among those accused of the misconduct, former Director of Pro Personnel Alex Santos, former Assistant Director of Pro Personnel Richard Mann II, and longtime radio play-by-play announcer Larry Michael, who just retired the other day. All three have departed the organization within the past week. No allegations directly against Daniel Snyder, the owner, or former longtime GM Bruce Allen, who was fired after the 2019 season. Daniel Snyder would not talk to the Post about their report. However, Daniel Snyder did release a statement saying the behavior described in yesterday's Washington Post article has no place in our franchise or society. This story has strengthened my commitment to setting a new culture and standard for our team, a process that began with the hiring of Coach Ron Rivera earlier this year. So right now, Washington has hired a lawyer. They are doing an in-house review, supposedly a thorough review, and they'll report back as soon as possible. The league is certainly aware, and they're involved. But Adam Schefter, our ESPN NFL insider, answered the question about what he makes of the NFL letting the law firm that Washington hired do its investigation before the league steps in.
Listen, the NFL knew that the Washington NFL team was